So welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound, our regular Sunday interview, and unusual that we talk to a Pelagic act on Sunday, but I really want to get some time in with these two guys here, with Filip and Frederik from Hemelbestormer. So thanks guys for joining.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. The first thing that we always ask is, have you guys got something that you want to plug? Another of your bands or a friend's band? I'll give you one moment to think about your answer while I plug something. And staying in Belgium, I thought, let's plug Itza, the band of my friend Tim de Meyer. So, give a shout out to them. Filip, Frederik, who wants to go first?
Well,
which band would you like to plug?
I like to plug Hedonist. That's Frederik's other band. It's some kind of groovy metal-alike band, a three-piece powerhouse. So they released a new album this year, and Mr. Drums is doing his part on it.
Frederik, now your chance.
All right, now I have to return the favor, obviously.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
There are so many bands to choose
from. That's the problem with Filip.
No, but I think it's worth mentioning that he has just recorded another great record, actually. And it's of a new project of his called Archaic Oath. And style-wise, you have to look in, correct me if I'm wrong, Filip, like Old Nagelfar, Dissection, Eucharist, that sort of stuff. Definitely worth listening to when it comes out. When I forgot.
So when is it going to come out?
April next year. But the label still has to be announced, and that will be, I think, next week or in 2 weeks. So
2 weeks from recording for everybody. We record this at the beginning of July. When you listen to it, it's already out, so you'll get it. But Filip, remember, you know where to do the premieres.
All right.
And to make it clear for everybody who unfortunately doesn't know, Frederik and Filip share synth and sample duties in Hemelbestormer, and Filip is the main guitar guy in the band, right? And Frederik is the drummer. We want to talk about your new record, The Radiant Veil, and of course, the Veil of Sound. We had to talk about this. Out on the Pelagic Record, July 25th. So when this comes out, it's already a few weeks ago. But I was wondering when I looked at the track list for the record, and I really was asking myself, do you guys get money from Volkswagen?
Volkswagen? Why?
Yeah. You're indirectly doing advertisement. You're doing promo for the Touran.
Oh, right. Okay. But that's spelled differently, right?
Yeah, with an O.
That's a good one.
I know. We'll come to the names of the titles on the record in a little bit. Something that I would like to talk about is, of course, when looking at all the projects that Frederik and Filip are doing, we'll see that they are coming from a lot of different musical backgrounds. And it's very interesting that in a lot of promos, there is a certain hint at your black metal roots. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that you got those, but that is one of the smaller elements in Hemelbestormer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there are moments when it's not black metal, but comparable to it?
I definitely hear the black metal influences in some parts. Mm-hmm. When writing or playing a riff, mm-hmm. I know, okay, this has got something to do with black metal. But I think you'll hear them as well, so it's not a big surprise, I think.
I think when I hear them, it's mostly in the sound.
In the production, you mean?
A little bit. I think there is something, for example, it doesn't have blast beats, right? So most of the tracks, I think I didn't hear a blast beat on the new record. Frederik, am I right? No blast beats.
You are correct.
And But I think in some of the riffs there is a certain coldness, which I like, and which fits perfectly to the topic. But it's not as if we have like a huge whirlwind of high-pitched guitars. It's not like we hear something Nagelfar, or we don't hear anything from true Norwegian black metal, something like that. But the sound there is a certain similarity, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And now the Radiant Veil. First of all, I quote Frederik, who said that the record is a journey through our solar system as perceived by Etruscan civilization. Could it not be a little bit more difficult?
Sure, it could have been, but why the Etruscans?
Yes.
Actually, Philip came up with the titles. So now the titles, they're all the planets in Old Etruscan.
Yeah.
But why the Etruscan? I leave that to the man itself.
So,
himself.
Philip.
Yeah, we got those space concepts.
Yes.
And when having the new album finished, there were 8 songs. And I had something like, why not doing the names of the classical planets? Which includes the sun, includes the moon. But there are only 7 classical planets. So we included Earth as well. So we had 8. But first we had something like, let's give them a different name, not just like sun or moon or Earth, but like a Latin name or a Greek name. And then we tried those names, but they sounded like, Jupiter, Zeus.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And then we were browsing through history and we stumbled upon the Etruscs. And I searched the deities representing the sun, the moon, Earth. And so we picked that name to give it a little bit more mysterious touch.
Yeah, it's interesting. You exactly say that, a certain kind of mystery. I mean, like, as you say, it fits perfectly to the concept behind the band. The name itself is already alluding to the skies, and somebody is storming the heavens. All of your artwork usually has some kind of representation of usually a mountain and then the sky and everything behind it. But with the Etruscans, I mean, like, it's very interesting. You just mentioned you looked at Greek names, you look at Latin names, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Etruscans use basically the same alphabet as the Greeks?
At least they're not from that part of history. They were right in front of the Romans. Like, I think it's the 6th or the 7th century before Christ. But there's not so much found of those letters. And I'm not an expert at all about this.
Yeah, I looked it up, and the last Etruscan community seems to have died in 27 before Christ, so a long time ago. But let me guess, that makes it even more interesting to you guys, doesn't it?
Well, the old Greeks, they passed away even longer ago, so
yes, but I meant like
really matter.
I meant like a civilization which is basically lost to us because we don't have a lot of Etruscan literature. Right? We have like a few stones, we have some incised inscriptions, but there is not a lot of text. So that is very interesting, like, especially for me being a history teacher, I had fun diving into it. But of course, a question must be, is it not a cool bonus that one can read a lot of stuff into it?
And one can't, so yeah, of course.
So, Frederik, how do you guys react when Philip comes up with those ideas?
Okay, fine, let's do it.
No discussions?
No discussion. Whenever he writes something. He presents it to us. You say, what do you think? Usually we think it's pretty okay, or very good, or great, even. And then, we basically take it from there. We study the songs, we learn the songs, and we here and there add our little personal touches to them. Maybe at least I try to do with my parts. But I guess when nobody would like it, what he writes or what he presents us, I think that will be discussable. Although I can honestly say that has never happened before. But who knows what the future will bring?
Yeah, who knows what the heavens will bring to you, right? Filip, when you write the things for Hemelbestormer, how much are you open to changes or to additions?
Whew. In a way, not much. And then
honest answer.
And in another way, much. So it depends on how sure I feel about certain parts.
Mm-hmm. And Frederik just hinted at that he might throw in a little bit more than Joe and Koen, who play the second guitar and the bass. Is that the way that Frederik is a little freer in his additions? Because, obviously he's the drummer and... Yeah.
Well, basically, when I present the songs, all drums are finished. They're all programmed with fills and all stuff, a lot of details as well. So basically, I don't think Frederik changes that much of it.
I don't. But, I meant with changes like more these personal touches, a little groove here and there, or some accent more, or a fill that I maybe feel more comfortable with playing or something. But to the core, I don't change that much indeed.
Which also means that the programmed drums must feel very natural for you, because of course, there are certain movements that the hands just can't make. Right?
Yeah, I think he, throughout the years, he has got to know me pretty well, and he knows what I can do, and he certainly knows what I cannot do. So I think he keeps that in mind when he programs the stuff. And sometimes he, he tries to push my boundaries a bit. not so much in Hemelbestormer, but with our other project, Rituals of the Dead Hand, he tends to do that. For example, I'm not a very fast player. I'm not too great on the blast beats and double kicks and everything. And every now and then he writes something where I need to do that, and I need to push myself to accomplish that, which is interesting, and which I think is very fun also for me, because it can be sometimes a bit of a challenge, but with Hemelbestormer not so much. Doesn't test my boundaries that much there.
Yeah, also because, of course, Hemelbestormer, although, yes, there are parallels to black metal, but it's much more of a doomgaze or a post-metal band, right? Yeah, I can see that. So, Filip, is that true that now, over the years, working with Frederik in several outfits, you've gotten to know him very well? You've gotten to know what he's able to do?
Absolutely. I think.
Is it also the case with the others, that what Joe can do, and now also the new bass player?
I think more or less we know each other very well. And I was thinking, I'm rehearsing my own stuff for my other band, Archaic Oath, and it will be the first time I'll play with a new drummer since Frey. How long are we playing together?
Well,
it must have been like 10 years.
12, 13 years, something like that. Yeah.
And in the meantime, I didn't play with any other drummers, so exciting times.
Frederik, how do you feel about him having an affair?
Frederik knows there is a lot of blast beats in the new song. So.
All good. let's come to the general idea behind Hemelbestormer, because that's something that I always liked. I've always been a huge fan of, for example, also the artwork and all the things that you put into it. Who came up with the idea of doing a band that is centered around this kind of topic? Also, Philip?
Well, as who has started the band, it's actually Joe, our previous bass player Kevin, and myself. Actually, the two first ones, Joe and Kevin, they found me through contact and whatnot, and we started jamming on this kind of instrumental. Well, it wasn't sure it's going to be instrumental back then. It was just we didn't have a singer, and we crossed that bridge when we got there. We never came to that bridge, obviously. So, and basically it was just the three of us, and we were like mucking about with some stuff. And then we came to the conclusion we need another one. We need another musician here. And then I came up with Filip, who I knew then already for quite a few years. And he was just finishing up his previous band then, Borat. He was just finishing up, doing the final live shows, the final record, I even think. Correct, Filip? Yes. And then we came together, and he said, well, I have actually written some stuff in this genre, in this like you're doing. Maybe we should try it and see if it works. And it worked. And then we were four, actually five. There was even a fifth member. But he didn't stay that long because he moved to England, and he took care of all the synths and samples and everything. But that is actually the way how Hemelbestormer started. So in a way, Flip joined the last, but he contributed the most, in a way.
Yeah, it sounds like foreign invasion.
Something like that, yeah.
But that's very interesting. And you've already mentioned it. You know, it was never clear originally that Hemelbestormer would be an instrumental band. But now, and not just on the new record, not on the Radiant Veil, but already before on Collide and Merge, you have had vocals. First of all, how did it come to it? Did the song both songs on Collide and Merge one and now on the Radiant Veil, did they both feel as if they needed vocals?
Well, actually, we wanted to have vocals on A Ring of Blue Light as well. We actually had Eddie from Solstafir agreeing on doing vocals, but in the end, he couldn't do it because of various reasons. So the song Towards the Nebula stayed instrumental. And then we had a short track on Collider Merge with doing Michelle. She was doing vocals on that one. It was sort of a very short track, and it needed vocals indeed. She also wrote the few lines for it. And on this new album, we had the Turms song, having Caspian,
yes.
Yeah, Phil doing vocals. And I think right after Collide and Merge, the album, I wrote something differently, more or less Turms. And in the end, it felt like Hemelbestormer as well. But I wanted to do something differently, and I put my own vocals on it. And we kept that demo track and used it as a blueprint for Phil doing his vocals. So initially, that song wasn't intended as a Hemelbestormer song, but it ended up, and of course, we changed parts of it. And the same goes for the other song, in which I'm doing screams. We were in the studio. Maybe Frey, you can tell it because you came up with the idea.
Well, actually, Lander, the guy of the studio, he actually came up with the idea. And when we were recording it, there is this specific part in the cell. It is.
I think so.
Yeah,
the longest track also.
Yeah. And as that big explosion of sound came, Lander, he's the guy from the studio, he said, this would be a cool spot for some extreme vocals. And then we started to think about that and started to brainstorm and said, yeah, maybe it is. Let's try it. And then we tried it, or Filip tried it. And I think we all immediately thought that it was a perfect match.
Yeah, first we had Colin from Amen-Ra. We asked if he could do it, but it was I think a few days before Weihnachten. So it was a little
Christmas for everybody outside of Germany.
So a little bit on a short notice for him. So we couldn't do it. And then right before the mix had to be finished, I tried some vocals here just for trying it. And we kept it.
And nailed it.
Yeah, we also have to say, like having a guy from Caspian and one from Amen-Ra, that would be just too much for the world to handle. You gotta have something for the next record. Yeah, but I can see that. I also thought when I first listened to the track To Sell, I thought like, okay, this is the moment when they, and that's what I like, when they see that the song needs something which might not fit the general concept. And that to me is very, very interesting. How did it feel for you guys? I mean, as Filip mentioned, you've already had one vocal track on Collide and Merge. Now you have one where Filip himself does something. How did it feel when you did that? How did it feel for you, Filip, and for the others? So Frederik, maybe you first.
I think it felt quite refreshing in a way. And because we are an instrumental band doesn't necessarily mean that there is no room for vocals.
Yeah.
But if you would ask me, will you ever hire a permanent singer? That's another discussion entirely.
Yeah.
But
because that would go against the concept.
If you will, if you will. But like you say, when there is a certain feeling that maybe we can add something more here by doing vocals, why wouldn't you do it? Who's going to stop us of doing it? Who's going to tell us you can't do this because you're an instrumental band? So I think whatever is necessary to make a song better, we will try. And if it's possible,
Screams.
Of course.
Filip, would you? I mean, I'm very sure you guys have already thought about live sets and which tracks from the new record you're gonna do. And I'm very sure you're gonna play Cell because it's a huge, awesome track. And would you also do the Screams live, Ben?
Well, up to this time, we didn't intend to play Cell live.
Now you have to.
But we still have to make our new live set. I can do those vocals live, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
For Phil's part, we use the sampler, so he sings along with the samples, with the backing track.
And Turms is going to be in the live set. That is 99% sure already, I think. 95%.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to choose because all the songs we play are so lengthy, and you can play like 60 minutes of just a new album. That would be too much. But yeah, what you gotta pick? Satre, Ussel, Tinia. Yeah, we still have to make a final decision about this.
Yeah, and then of course the problem is that a lot of your songs are very lengthy, and I mean, like, depending on which songs you choose, you only play like 5. Maybe 6 tracks in the set, right? Yeah, I can see that. So we've already mentioned the collaboration with Filip from Caspian quite a lot. How did it happen?
Oh, quite naturally, actually, because our guitar player Joe, he has been good friends with Phil for quite a few years, actually. And when we were looking for a fitting vocalist for that song. Along the way, he came up, and we said, "Well, yeah, Joe, just ask him who. Yeah, he might do it." And he said yes, and that's actually it. There is no bigger or spectacular story behind it than this. The two got to know each other throughout the years through I think on that live shows or something, and they developed a really close friendship, with Joe visiting him in America. He sometimes visiting here when they're touring Europe and everything. So it was actually a very natural thing to happen.
Philip, did you then write the lyrics for Phil, or did he do that himself?
I actually gave him carte blanche, but he used mine.
Okay. Did he, because I wasn't sure if I read it correctly, did he only add vocals, or did he also contribute a guitar line?
Just the vocals.
And there is something on the new record that I think is really cool, and it once again shows, the guys looking for development, evolution, looking what a song might need. There are some very interesting, let's say, 80s synth pop lines.
Yes.
I know that you too like that stuff, but how did Joe and Koen react?
Whew. I don't know anymore, Fred.
That's a good question, but I think they reacted positive.
Yeah. I guess so. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. But you guys have a certain love for 80s synth pop, don't you?
Frey especially.
I tend to enjoy it. Yeah, especially things like Perturbator, Carpenter Brut. That sort of stuff. I'm not much of a dancing guy, like ever. But when those,
that's the drummer.
When those, says the drummer, yeah. But when those guys are playing live, it's all guns blazing, and I was over the moon when he included something like that in one of the songs, and I'm very, very meticulously encouraging him to do more of that in the future. So. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
For everybody who's following our little channel here very, very closely, you might have seen that in the last years, we twice had premieres on our YouTube channel for something called the Nox entity. And for everybody who doesn't know, Philip here is the Nox entity, part of it. Let's put it like that. It's a really cool project, and it shows a lot of the love that you have for synth pop, for synth wave. But then I have to ask that one question about the Nox entity, because the first thing that we premiered was a cover of Placebo's The Bitter End.
Yeah.
Why Placebo, and why that track? And if you now say because it's a great track, that's not enough.
I started out Nox, the band Nox, not the Nox entity, but the band Nox, when I heard some noise and industrial, like trepaneringsritualen. And I wanted to do something like that. So I wrote a few songs. Oh no, first I have to say something else. I had it in my mind for a long time, but I never started it. But a few years ago, we played with From 242 here in Belgium. And when I saw those guys playing, I was like, whoa, tomorrow I'll start. And then I started to write those industrial sounding songs with my screams on it. And I showed it to my friend of Rope Sect. And he said, yeah, but your vocals, this and that. So I said, well, why don't you do the vocals? I love your voice. Yeah. So he did. And his voice changed the character of the music a lot. And at that time, I was just listening to music, and suddenly the song from Placebo appeared on YouTube. And I had something like, if I slow down the pace, use synthesizers, and use the rope stack guy's voice, I think it would be a very good match. So I proposed it to him, and he said, "Well, yeah, let's do it." That's basically it.
It's a very, very cool track. I have to admit that.
Thank you.
I have two more questions before we come to the quickfire round. We've already mentioned it, Frederik. You started out basically as a 5-piece, then it were 4, then it were 3. Now you're 4 again. Does it feel whole again? You know, like, okay, now we're a 4-piece again?
Yeah, because when we parted ways with Kevin, it was mid-Corona, so it was there wasn't going on that much, and there was also only one guy we had in mind, and that was Koen. And we asked him, and luckily he said yes, because if he said no, I don't know what we would have done. We would probably have found someone else in due time, but that was the guy who we had in mind. And so there was actually not that long of a time that we were a 3-piece. And when we were, we didn't do anything because of Corona. So, but to answer your question, do you feel whole again? Obviously, yeah. He is a great match to the band. He is a doer, and no complaints whatsoever.
Philip, correct me if I'm wrong, but you played bass on Collide and Merge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that Koen was able to join because he is as much of a workaholic as you two guys are. Right?
Actually, Koen was in the studio when I was playing bass for Collide and Merge. So I borrowed his equipment, but it was too short for him to study all the tracks right before we have to go to the studio.
Okay. Did he then say anything about the bass lines? Did he give some advice, or did he just listen?
No advice.
Would have been funny, right, Frederik? You know, like a real bass player sitting there and being like, "No, you got to do it." But that's also something that I wanted to mention. You guys, especially you two, and also Koen. If I remember, Joe is the only one who only has one band, if I'm correct. But you 3 guys are like workaholics. All of you have various bands. Is there a moment when you're ever able to mentally switch off from music, from songwriting, from thinking about new stuff?
No. No.
Clear answer.
Because, when I'm not playing music, I'm making music in my head. So when I'm out, like a relaxing walk with the dog in the forest, I'm thinking about new stuff and trying to make new songs. It happens all naturally. And if it stops, it stops. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah.
But Frederik, how about you? How does the workaholic Rosemans switch it off?
He's not a workaholic. He's always very slow.
But he's got the groove.
For me, it's much easier because I'm not a songwriter. So I'm not creating things in my head, even if I would want it. But to me, it's fairly easy to switch it off when I don't have a rehearsal or a show or anything. I'm thinking about stuff a lot, music-wise, but it's very easy to me to sit on the couch reading a book or watching a show or having a walk or spend time with my family. Maybe I should have mentioned that first.
Too late. We're not gonna. No. We're gonna leave that.
Okay.
Philip, make sure that his girlfriend or wife sees me. You know, just listen to that one point. 37 minutes in. Listen to the order in which it was.
But you get my point. I guess.
I do, of course. Last thing that I saw, you guys did a collaboration with Joe Quayle, and you did a split with the Now, as far as I know, extinct Vanessa van Basten. If you could choose another band to do a split or a collaboration with, who would it be? Caspian?
That's an interesting question.
I know.
I have actually never thought about that. You?
Well,
Philip?
I did.
Aha!
Bloedosnort.
Ooh. Okay.
And something
Okay.
like a 40 minutes piece with both parts
Intertwining.
entwining.
Have you ever approached the band about it? I mean, like, it's difficult, an anonymous band, but
we were on the same label, and I know he knows about Hemelbestormer, but no, I didn't speak about it.
Maybe you should.
But maybe he's listening now, so.
I'll make sure that he's going to listen. I'm going to send something to Jonathan, and he can then forward it to him. Because that sounds. I mean, like, if that ever happens, I want to get a free ticket to the show.
Oh, but a show, that's another step, eh?
Oh, otherwise a free copy of a record. One of those. Because, I mean, like, that sounds. I'm very sure everybody out there
sounds really cool. Yeah.
It's like, woo, I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it.
Yeah, things are happening here.
Philip. That would be really a very cool thing. Guys, first of all, thanks for all the insight into the new record. Thanks for the amazing music. Everybody, please, if you haven't done so already, please listen to the Radiant Veil, out July 25th on Pelagic. But nobody leaves a Veil of Sound interview without the infamous quickfire round at the end. I will not repeat for everybody how it works if you don't listen to one of the earlier videos. So guys, I'll give you a few alternatives, and let's start with one of those two bands that are very often given as references for Hemelbestormer. Which band would you rather listen to right now? Neurosis or ISIS?
Neurosis.
I would say Neurosis as well. I don't like ISIS.
I do, but I like Neurosis.
I don't know them that well, so.
But Philip, is it just ISIS, or are there Turner projects where you say, like, okay, I really like that?
I'm not that aware of ISIS, and not that much about Neurosis either, to be honest.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Let's go into the question that you've indirectly given: Carpenter Brut versus Perturbator.
Tricky. If I would, on record, Perturbator. Live, Carpenter. Because have you seen Carpenter live?
I've only seen videos of it, and it's really cool. I have to admit.
It's like madness.
Yeah.
It's also cool with Perturbator, but I like his records more, but I think live Carpenter is like, whoa, out there.
Philip.
Perturbator as well. It's a little bit more punch, a little bit more swing.
Yeah.
But at least the stuff I know.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the black metal side. Celtic Frost, Into the Pandemonium, or Monotheist?
Monotheist. I like the new sound. It's crushingly heavy.
It's interesting. Very many people still say Into the Pandemonium, and I can understand that. But if you listen to Monotheist, and if you tell me that afterwards you still think the glass is half full, then you haven't really listened to it. I mean, like, that stuff is so crushing. I love that. I really like that a lot.
Victor did master a new album.
So let's go to one of those synth things. And really synth pop from the 80s. I'll give you Depeche Mode. You can choose between Violator and Music for the Masses.
Violator.
I don't know.
Philip is scratching his head right now.
His hair, just like me. What is the old guy talking about? Okay. And I also wanted to give you two of those classical 80s pop songs. You could choose between Alphaville, Sounds Like a Melody, and Duran Duran, Wild Boys.
I only know Wild Boys, so...
You don't know the Alphaville track?
Maybe you should sing it again?
Forget it. Otherwise, I'm going to land on your record doing vocals. Forget it. Frederik?
I'll pick Alphaville.
Good
because the other one chooses Duran Duran. So.
And now, as I looked up, like which festivals in Holland could I give you? And I didn't want to go to Torhout and Werchter. Rockherk versus Groesrock. Which one would you rather attend?
Rockherk.
Rockherk, of course.
Because Groesrock, A, it doesn't exist anymore, I think.
That's true.
And B, it was mostly like punk hardcore, which is not really my jazz. Yeah. I like some of the stuff, but not, yeah.
Yeah, I still remember one Groesrock edition where they had, I'm very sure it was Brutus and Amen-Ra. And I also think they had Death Heaven that year. But that was one of a few exemptions from punk and hardcore. Yes.
I think the nowadays alternative for Groesrock is Jera Open Air.
Yeah, Jera already was doing their thing while Groesrock was descending. And then Jera just took their place. Yes, true. That's definitely true. And I think that Jera does a great job. However, as I have grown out of punk, out of the free chord punk scene a decade ago, I think, or more, I would now rather still always go to my favorite festival in the world, Roadburn, but that's, everybody knows that. So, guys, thanks for all your time. Thanks for the cool answers. And also for being honest when you don't know something.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, man, it was a real pleasure. Thank you for the support.